wasn't my fault. Like, they didn't want to do it. I don't know what happened. Like, where did we decide we were going to do it? Yeah, well, that was, and I put on the calendar, and then I said to them all, and Andre said he never heard of it, and Faye said she never heard of it, and nobody had followed up on anything.
Well, you know what? Next year I'll simply.
Okay.
You just,
And
face it.
hi, Sarah Jane. You know what happened in the Megillah reading? Didn't we agree to do it on Thursday morning? And then when I said at staff meeting, nobody had ever heard of it, so it had never.
We were online looking for it. It was just impossible to find out.
Hi.
All right. Well, nice to
Okay. Right.
Tonight. Nice. Look that.
Well, the back okay. I'm just really not a specific
So it was fun. Sorry, I need to interrupt you. Hi, how are you?
Good. Good. Yes. Hi. Happy birthday. Did you want to do something tonight in the service? Oh, you are.
It's in my hands. It's right here. Come on. Well, I'm not
Sarah,
No,
Sarah
thank
Jane
you.
actually
Love is happy.
booked God's already. But my memory is fading. Your memories are really low.
Well, that's why I didn't work out. I think we're not or something happened. I didn't hear it.
So it's okay for me to do the organization.
They have books up there? What? Two of them?
And then on the outside.
you see water lights up?
Now you're sitting on the other side. And it wasn't there?
It's the Megillah reading.
Thank you.
Did you get one of these? Get one to leave too.
The audience is fine, but
Well,
who are you tonight?
Mordechai. Thank you. In a boat so I can.
Who that is?
No, that's why they need to.
Yes. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. This is as close as I can get. Let's hear it. Shabbat Shalom from everybody. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a wonderful evening to a lot of people here in the sanctuary, and welcome to our visitors at home or wherever you may be seeing us on live streaming. You're in for a treat this evening in addition to our regular Friday night Shabbat. My name is Faye Henning Bryant. I have the honor of serving as president of the congregation, and I'm very pleased to see everybody. Two things. We would like for you to, if you're comfortable taking pictures in the sanctuary, to please take pictures during the Purim spiel and during the Megillah reading, but please make sure that the ringer on your phone is off. So we need pictures, but no phone calls. So with that, we have the rabbi.
Happy Purim. The rabbi had to go to Shushan on urgent business. So my name is Mordechai, and I was sent here to substitute temporarily. I'm seeing that people are wearing some very unusual clothing, and so after services we can outfit you with more latest styles if you like. I'd like to start from a historical point of view with a prayer for Purim that was written by Rabbi Moritz Meir, who was one of the early rabbis of the Reformed congregation in Charleston, South Carolina, which was the very first Reformed congregation in the United States. This prayer was written in 1866, and therefore it's going to have lots of these and those, but I thought it was a very interesting prayer that was preserved in a book that he wrote of prayers for Jewish women. And so therefore, let me start off Purim with this historical prayer for this holiday. We thank you, O keeper and guardian of Israel, for the help which thou didst afford to our race in the days of Mordechai at this season, when Haman in his malice, when Haman I don't think they really don't like that guy. Let me try this again. That thou, in the days of Mordechai, which is me, at this season, when, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Haman. this malice and revenge designed to destroy all the Israelites of the vast empire of Persia. That's where I'm from. Today they call it Iran. Young and old, men and women. The king's messengers had already traversed the country in all directions with the decree that had been issued by the evil Haman, ordering the extermination of all the children of thy people. The day had already arrived on which the cruel despot Haman intended to gratify his vengeance by a general massacre ordered by the evil courier Haman. The enemy had triumphantly proclaimed as Haman said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I draw my sword and destroy them with my hand. But thine almighty hand, O God, frustrated the evil devices of the persecutor. Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Of the persecutor Haman. And caused him to fall into the very snare which Haman had prepared for thine innocent children. They were saved and rejoiced. And through whom did thou accomplish this great and wonderful deliverance? Thou, O God, chosest a feeble woman. It was written 1866, don't blame me. For thy messenger, for an instrument of the redemption of thy people, that all the world might learn how great thou art also in little things, how thy power works also in the weak. How that which seems powerless turns triumphantly mighty in thy hand, that which is fragile and humble, strong and sublime, that we also may know and take to heart that, however lowly and feeble a man may be, he is nevertheless commissioned by thee, O God, to do and accomplish the good unto the benefit and blessing of his fellow people. And for that we have to thank the Queen Esther. Couldn't hear them. And for that we have to thank, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Are you 100% sure you're ready? Queen Esther. Oh God, grant me also that my feeble powers may succeed in doing what is good and useful, that our lives may not pass away profitless and fruitless, that our names may become worthy to be praised and blessed by those who live with us and by those who live after us. And let us say, Amen. Amen. And now we have a reenactment of the Megillat of Esther. And I would like to now ask the ensemble actors who have come here from all over the country just for this to please come forward onto the bima. Let's greet them.
Under the table, in the drawer. The table by the candles. Yeah. All right. I'm waiting on batteries here. These are authentic Persian batteries. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. It just died on me. All right. All right. Here we go.
Can you hear us okay?
You're going to hear me now. All right.
Everything was okay.
Everything's good. Oh, wait. There it goes. All right. And it came to pass in the reign of Ahasuerus, a great king who ruled in Hodu over 127 provinces. Remember that, there's questions later. And ruled in Shoshan, the capital. And they're going to enter. Now this king like many before him, had many advisors, people to help him and make decisions and do all these kingy kind of things. And in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast for all his ministers, a really great party for all these advisors and lots of food and drink, and he really wanted to show off how rich and powerful he was. As you can see, the banqueting room full of sumptuous drapes and beautiful furniture studded with jewels and pearls, only the best, for the very best, gold and silver plates. You see them, and knives and forks. So after some eating and quite a lot of drinking, in fact a lot more drinking than eating, the king decided to demonstrate his power and to call for his wife to come join the festivities.
Now my wife, beautiful. You don't know what beautiful means until you see Vashti. She really is a wife fit for a king such a great nation. Wait, I'll call her. Vashti, Vashti, Vashti!
Great king. I don't think she's gonna come. You see, she says she's too busy having fun with fire and stuff.
What? She won't. What? She's too. What? Right. Advisors, what should we do about this? Advise me.
Well, great king, what I would do if I were you,
Yes, Haman?
what I would do
Yes.
is banish her forever.
And so he did. He also unfollowed her on Facebook. But this left him with a problem. Now he had no beautiful wife fit for the king of Persia. What could he do? His advisors discussed all this, and finally Haman came up with a clever idea.
What you need to do, O great and powerful king, is to hold a beauty contest.
Yes. Wait a minute. I've had a great idea. Why don't we organize a beauty contest? Yes. That's it. Organize one at once, so I may choose the fairest woman for my new bride. It's good to be king.
So the decree went out. The king was going to hold a beauty contest. At this time in Shushan there was a wise and clever Jewish man called Mordecai. He was good and clever and a snappy dresser and an all-around good guy. He also looked after his niece, the beautiful Esther. Mordecai, you're wonderful, wonderful. Mordecai, you're marvelous, marvelous. Mordecai, you're so handsome and witty. You're our favorite hero in all of Shushan city. Mordecai, advise us. Mordecai, surprise us. Give us the word about the Jews and their fate. Mordecai, now spread the news so we can relate.
That's very catchy.
For a catchy guy.
My dear niece, Esther, the king is looking for a new wife by holding a beauty contest. If you enter and win it, imagine all the things we could buy. A nice house in North Scottsdale. A Tesla. Is it S or X? I'm not sure, but it's the one where the doors flap up and down. You'll be the best known Jewess in the land. Just think, with your position next to King Ahasuerus as his queen, you could help our people be aware of any evil plans toward the Jews. Just don't tell anyone you're Jewish for now. Wait till you get the Tesla. Look. Where is that gizmo? Have you heard of these things? Look. Wow. Here, sign up for that training course on how to marry a Persian king.
I agree to enter the contest. I will do whatever is necessary for the safety of my people, but I won't wear a bikini.
So the great day came, and all the most beautiful women in Shushan and from many thousands of miles around paraded before the king and his advisors. Okay. What will you do, Esther, if you are to be chosen queen?
I just want to be a good dutiful wife, to serve my master, the great, wise, handsome, kind, caring king. And promise to come whenever he calls me. My king.
You got the job.
There she is, Miss Persia. There she is, your ideal, the dream of a million girls who are more than pretty, can come true here in Shushan City, or she may turn out to be the queen of femininity. There she is, Miss Persia. There she is, your ideal. With so many beauties, she took the town by storm. With her secretly Jewish face and form, there she is, walking on air she is, fairest of fair she is, Queen of Persia. And now, yay for the queen. And the king loved Esther more than any of his other wives, and he placed a royal crown on her head and gave her Vashti's palace. Now in those days, while Mordecai sat at the king's gate by the wall around the city, Bigtan and Teresh, two of the king's guards who were angry with the king, came to the king's gate and began to talk.
I'm fed up.
Yeah, fed up.
Why does the king get to have all the fun and we do all the hard work?
Yeah, fed up.
How about us having some fun and letting him do all the hard work for a change?
Yeah, fed up.
Are you listening?
Yeah,
So why do you keep saying,
fed up.
you know, you're the thickest person I know. You're thicker than a plank of wood nailed to another plank of wood, and then fixed on one side of another plank of wood, all wrapped up in another 29 planks of wood. I am fed up.
Yeah,
Don't you say anything? What's the time?
3:15.
How do you know it's 3:15? Watches haven't been invented yet.
Because it's written down on this piece of paper.
That's good. Wait a minute. What if it isn't the correct time?
Then I don't read out the bit of paper.
Have that bit of paper with the time written on it?
No,
Why not?
because no one knows the time. Clocks haven't been invented yet.
Oh, this is ridiculous. You know, I don't want to do things like this anymore. What we need is a smart plan. Now let me think.
I had a smart plan once.
Really?
Yeah, it went like this. When I was in the army, you know, they say that you can only get hurt if the arrow has your name on it.
Yeah.
Well, what I did is I got an arrow and I carved my name on it, and then I broke it in half and kept the pointy bit with my name on it in my pocket. That's why I could never get hurt.
You're an idiot.
Well, I may be an idiot, but I'm still here, so it must have worked.
I'm going to hurt you.
No chance.
Why?
I've got the arrow with my name on it in my pocket.
Wait, I got it. Let's hurt the king.
Oh, no.
Why?
Well, I don't think he'd like that.
Stupid, how will he know it'll be gone?
Oh, yeah.
And then we can take over the whole kingdom
Yeah.
and never have to work again.
Yeah.
We'll live in the palace of lots of food and lots of wine and dancing and money and swimming pools and everything we want.
Yeah.
But we'll do it. We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, when?
3:15.
How will we know it's 3:15? Watches haven't been invented yet.
Oh, for goodness sake, you look at your piece of paper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do away with them.
Oh, yeah. Do how?
Pardon?
How will we do away with him?
Well, we could drop a brick on his head. Or how about scaring him? Or you could bore him to death.
Yeah, I could do that.
Come on, let's go home and work it out. When I'm king, you think I could have that piece of paper with the time written on it?
No, get your own.
Teresh, we're friends. Who's your friend?
Mordecai, having overheard this whole plan to kill the king, told Esther, who told her husband, the king, in Mordecai's name. When the king investigated the matter, he then had them executed, and the whole thing written down in the king's diary called the Book of Chronicles. But the king also decided to promote Haman, son of Hamdata and Agite, and put him in charge of all of his other ministers, and told all of his subjects that in future they must kneel and bow down before Haman. Oh, Haman, you are a pain in the neck. Just because we didn't bow to you, you're a wreck. Oh, Haman, you need to learn a different way. We cannot listen to your mishigas another day.
It's hard being adored and adulated by everyone. I find it such a strain having to acknowledge the acclamation. But one must do one's duty. Actually, it's been ages since anyone has kneeled and bowed down before me. Well, at least 5 minutes. I think I'll go for a little walk by the King's Gate and indulge myself in some sycophantic servile groveling from the peasants. Do you know who I am, you insolent rogue?
Ho, ho, ho. Yes, I know who you are. You are Haman, the son of Yes, I know who you are. You are Haman. Yes, I know who you are. One more time, really loud. You are Haman, son of Hamdat the Agagite.
Do you not know that the king commands you to kneel and bow, and gently fawn and worship me whenever I appear?
Yeah, I know that too.
Then why don't you do it? You person you.
I cannot worship you because I am a Jew. I only worship the one true God, the ruler of the universe who rules us all. I don't worship a human being.
You dog. You goat. You cur. I'll get you. I'll get you.
Ah, God, yeah, God, yeah.
Ah, King, the very person I was looking for. Your Highness, your greatness, your magnificence, your incredibleness, your wonderfulness, your...
Yes. I'm a busy man. I have a lot to do. I don't have a lot of time for this flattery.
Very well, King. I'll come straight to the point. I was walking...
Well, perhaps I have a little more time.
Oh, your munering manure sense.
All right.
Tough word.
All right, come on. I'll have to do this once. What are you after?
Well, Your Majesty, there are people among us who refuse to bow down to us and are trying to cause the collapse of your kingdom. They are very dangerous. I feel we must do away with them.
All right, do whatever you think is best.
Oh, thank you, great and brilliantly shining brilliantness. And please, can I have a royal proclamation proclaiming this proclamation in a proclamatory fashion? I just love royal proclamations.
Yes, whatever.
And if you'd like to give me that signet ring of yours to save you having to go to any trouble sealing all those Irish proclamations. Oh, thank you.
Very thoughtful of you, Haman. I'm very busy man. There you are. Now do not try to disturb me again. I'm going for a little nap. I seem to be sleeping so badly these days.
At last I can get my own back on Mordecai. What? You don't think I can do it? Or yes, I can. No, you can't? Or yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Thank you. Oh, I've had enough of this. Now all I have to do is choose a day on which to have my vengeance on Mordecai and all of the Jews. How shall I do that? How? Ah, yes, I know. I'll leave it to the gods to draw lots from a hat.
And the king's scribes were then summoned on the 13th day of the first month, and all that Haman commanded was written down in proclamations and sealed with the royal ring. Each one of these proclamations, of which there were hundreds, were delivered to all of the king's provinces and to all his rulers of these provinces. And they were told that on the 13th day of the 12th month, they must rise up and do away with all the Jews living amongst them. And even in the capital, Shushan, where Haman and Mordecai and the king and Esther lived, even there the proclamation was read out, so Mordecai heard. Mordecai, we're glad that you were there. Mordecai, you'll keep us from despair. Haman will never get his way, 'cause you'll really save the day. There is nothing more to say.
Nothing more to say? That song ended a little abruptly, Canner.
Just wait.
Esther, my niece, you're back. Thank you for coming to meet me, O Queen. You've heard of, ready? Haman's horrible, horrible, horrible proclamation against us.
Yes, Uncle.
Esther, you must help us.
But Uncle, what can I do?
Esther, just because you are the wife of the king, do not think that you will be spared. Haman means to kill us all. Don't think you'll be spared. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Haman means to kill us all because his name is 1, 2, 3. Haman.
But Uncle, you know I cannot go into the king unless I have a text from him. To go without texting first is so rude. Unless the king decides to be merciful.
Can't you tell him that you thought he was going to email you? But perhaps it was for this that you were chosen to be his queen. You cannot stand by and let this awful, awful thing happen to us, delivered by such a vicious, vicious man. Are you ready? A vicious, vicious man named Haman.
Very well, I will do it, Uncle. I will go to the king, even if it means not coming back. But please gather all the Jews of Shushan and have them fast and pray for me 3 days, and I will fast and pray too. And then I will go to the king. And if I perish, then I get a lawyer.
Is that called the Atkins diet?
So, on the third day, Esther put on her royal clothes and stood in the inner courtyard of the palace. The king was sitting in the courtyard and saw Queen Esther, and he smiled at her and invited her to speak. And she invited the king and Haman to dinner. And Haman was flattered at being so honored as to be asked by the queen to dine with her and the king. And he went home happy, until once again he saw Mordecai at the king's gate, and once again Mordecai refused to bow to him. So, in readiness for the massacre, he had planned that he built special gallows on which he planned to hang Mordecai. Meanwhile, that night, in the king's bedroom,
10,109 sheep, 10,110 sheep, 10,100.
Would you like your raw yoo-hoo milk?
Would I like some yoo-hoo? Yes, yes. That might help me sleep. Wouldn't it? Too many things to think about. Yoo-hoo, yes.
Very well, Your Excellency.
Yoo-hoo on the floor. Now I can get back to counting sheep. It's supposed to help, 10,200 and 9,100, 11,008. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this will never work. Read me something that night. Help me sleep. Read this phone book or the U.S. tax code or the Yom Kippur service. Something slow and boring.
Well, Your Excellency. Yikadal, Yikadash, Si, Rabah.
No. Not that. Too morbid. Here, read this instead.
Now it came to pass that Mordecai the Jew overheard Bigdan and Teresh trying to kill the immense and exilous pomposity King Ahasuerus.
That's me, Wait a minute. That Shappy Mordecai, he saved my life. Did we ever reward him?
No, your pediatric sheep.
Which of my sycophantic advisors is on call tonight?
I think I saw that slimy one you like so much. Come on. I think I saw him in the courtyard.
Oh, good. Yes, he'll do. A bit oily, but effective. Come on. Come on. Oh, where is he? He does tend to creep up behind one, and it always gives me a bit of a startle. Tell you what, boys and girls, if you see him on,
Yes, your splendiferous Londonness.
oh, you made me jump. You do slither about so sometimes, come on.
Forgive me, my liege.
Forgiven. I'm so forgiven, aren't I? Anyway, look. What should I do for a man I particularly wish to honor?
He must mean me. He usually does. Why, you should let them put on your best suit and ride your best horse through the city, led by one of your noble ministers who will proclaim to all, this is done for the man the king wishes to honor. This should be good. I look so good on a horse.
Very well. Do this for Mordecai, the Jew.
Mordecai? Mordecai?
Mordecai? Is that his last name too?
But surely you can't be serious.
Yes, I can. And stop calling me Shirley.
Yes, my lubriciousness. Let him spell check either.
So Haman took the clothes and dressed Mordecai in them and led him through the streets of Shushan on the king's best horse and proclaimed to all that this is done for the man the king wishes to honor. And Haman returned home downcast and depressed. So the time came for Queen Esther's feast, and Haman went to enjoy his meal, or so he had hoped. Yesterday, all his troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. One cannot live in yesterday. Why she had to go to the king, she would not say. He said something wrong, soon he'll long for yesterday. Suddenly, you've not half the man you used to be. There's a shadow hanging over you. Oh, yesterday is
that feast, eh, Haman?
A wonderful one, oh omnipotent impotence.
And Easter, and not a bad bit of crumpet, eh, Haman?
As wise as you, beautiful, gracious Lord.
You are a wonderful wife, Esther. I want to do something for you. Anything, name it, and it's yours, even if it's half my kingdom.
O great king, if you love and favor me, give me my life.
But you love me, woman. No one is threatening to take it.
Yes, my lord, someone is, and not just my life, but the life of my people. You have been sold to be murdered, and the man that persecutes us and wishes us to have me murdered does not care.
Who dare does this to you?
That man is sitting next to you. That man is Haman. I am a Jew, and it is he who has plotted to take my life, that my uncle Mordecai, who you recently honored, and all Jews who live peacefully in your kingdom.
Haman. You are an evil, nasty, nasty man. I never liked you. Oh, that smartiness and slyness. You will be taken away and be done away. With security. Security, take him away. Take him to Detroit. Take him to Detroit. There now, Esther. It's all put right. You know, after our feast and all that fuss, I rather fancy something sweet to eat. How about a piece of cake? Can you rustle up something hat-shaped that tastes good and reminds me of this moment?
Now Haman, the royal pain in the neck, has lots and lots of sores with a noose on his neck. Oh Haman, you've got hang-ups that you thought we'd never see. You're really quite Meshuggah and you're out on a tree. Well, now Haman was done away with. At the orders of the king, by the hand of Mordecai, now his chief minister, so all the other plotters are gone. And the king honored and protected the Jews throughout his kingdom, throughout the provinces, and instructed them to celebrate Purim every year on the 14th and 15th of Adar, and remember how this month had been transformed for them from a time that should have been for sorriness and great sadness to one of great joy, from mourning to festivity, to make them days of feasting, rejoicing, giving food to one another and giving gifts to the poor. And Mordecai was honored by the king and loved by his people and spoke peace for all of their descendants. Well, now, hello, Esther, this is your fiesta, and we're grateful to old Mordecai as well. So, write it clearly, and we will read it yearly. Then Esther will never go away. She helped to make this holiday, and Haman will never come this way again. And that's the whole Megillah. Well, almost.
Happy Purim to everyone. Are we ready to move into Shabbat, which you can find the Shalom Aleichem on page 142. Please rise as we join together in welcoming Shabbat.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Be'echem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu li l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Say to him l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Please be seated as we bless the candles for Shabbat. I'd like to call up our synagogue administrator, Helene Fox, to bless the candles for Shabbat in memory of her mother, Minnie Fisher. Page 120, 121.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
And let us all say,
Amen.
we continue with the Lecha Dodi on page 138. Please clap together as the chorus comes up.
Lecha lecha dodi, nikrat nikla, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha lecha dodi, nikrat nikla, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha lecha dodi, nikrat nikla, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala. Lecha lecha dodi, nikrat nikla, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala. Shamor v'zakor v'divor echad, Yishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tifku v'tnitat la 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 la, Yechad HaKadodi, Yechad HaKadodi, B'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala, L'chad HaKadodi, Yechad HaKadodi, B'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala, L'chad HaKadodi, Yechad HaKadodi, B'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala, L'chad HaKadodi, Yechad HaKadodi, B'nei b'nei Shabbat nikabala. Bo'י בשלום ותרד בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך המוני ים סגולה, בואי כללה, בואי כללה. Shabbat nekabala, nekabala katoni, nekabala, nekabala Shabbat nekabala, nekabala katoni, nekabala, nekabala Shabbat nekabala, nekabala katoni, nekabala, nekabala Shabbat nekabala.
Shabbat Shalom and a very happy Purim. I want to introduce a couple of people who are here tonight who are special guests. Who do we have here?
Gabby.
Gabby, and what are you dressed as? Or who are you supposed to be?
Princess.
Ah, okay. And so we have a princess there. Now, who are you?
I'm Paula.
And who are you supposed to be?
Minnie Mouse.
Minnie Mouse. Now, what's your real name?
Eva.
And what is your fake name?
Pirate Eva.
Okay. Now, yeah, I guess, but the eye, wait, come back. Your eye patch is on now. Better. Smile to everyone. Now, how did you lose that eye?
I popped it out with my knife.
That's a really tough pirate.
Yeah, you think Abraham had it bad? You think Abraham had a bad day in circumcision?
Now, wait. I think we have here another princess, but this princess has had a very rough time. Can you pass the microphone there? Who are you?
I'm Queen Vashti, who got banished.
Oh, no. So, poor Queen Vashti was queen. Did you have servants?
Yes. I had a whole house full of servants.
And you had the best food?
I had everything that was the best.
Lox and bagels even?
Of course.
Smoked salmon?
Salmon, sable, the whole,
Wow.
the whole thing.
And then what happened?
I refused to go to my husband when he calls, so.
But you're equal party, aren't you?
I am now, but he wasn't.
Oh, no. Oh, no. This sounds so sad. Do we have anyone else dressed up as anything interesting?
I'm Queen Esther's hippie sister.
And I'm Mordecai's hippie brother.
Brother!
Hey.
I haven't seen you in, like, ever.
At least a week.
Anyone else dressed up? Anyone, maybe another mouse? Okay, well, anyway, it's nice to see so many people dressed up, and we're looking forward to the Megillah reading in a few minutes, where we're going to hear the story of Vashti and what happened to her. We now continue with our service, the evening service, the Mariv service, beginning with the Reader's Kaddish on page 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, גמד יברכירותי ויניח מלכותי, בחייך וביומך וחיי דכל בית ישראל, וגאלה וגאלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולמו מעלמיה יתברך וישתבח בפר תרומה ונשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה ברכו אלא מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונקמתה, דמירה בעלמה, למרו amen.
Please rise for the Baruch Hu on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Amavorach, Baruch Adonai, Amavorach, Amavorach, Le'olam va'ed, Amavorach, Amavorach, Le'olam va'ed.
We join together in the English. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. We continue with the Declaration of Faith on page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malachuto Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
We join together in the English. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. And in a slightly lower voice, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated as we continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
ואהבת
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו דברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם. בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשבתך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטובתו בין עיניך וכתבתם לזו ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be my heart, shall be my heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down, and when thou liest down. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates.
Please turn to page 158 as we join together in the English of Mi Chamocha. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God, they cried. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Go'al Yisrael. Please rise for the tefillah, beginning on page 164.
Adonai, Sivitai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehillateka. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot, Ve'imavot, U'mevig Gilal V'nei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'hadma, Melech Ozer Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Elam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol, Atah Rab L'Hoshia, Mechaker HaChaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Samech Noflim V'Rafei Kolim, U'Mater Asurim, U'Mekayim Emunato, L'Shenei Yafa, Michamocha Ba'al Geburot, U'Midem Elah, Melech Memi, U'Makayeh, U'Masmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
We turn to page 172 at the bottom, and we join together in both the Hebrew and then the English. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imatenu, ritzei b'menuchatenu, Ka'adshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkenu b'toratecha. Savenu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'yeshuatecha, v'taher libenu la'avdecha be'emet, v'anchilenu Adonai Eloheinu ba'ahava u'beratzon Shabbat kodshecha, v'yanuchu ba Yisrael mekadshe shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. And now we join together in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your loving grace, Adonai, our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We continue praying silently, standing or seated. We now turn to page 371 for the Mishaberach. There's a number of people that I'd like us to pray for this week. First of all, Beatrice Bunny Rubinowitz, the mother of Lori Baker. I visited her this week, and she's suffering from cancer, and it's at a critical point, and she's deciding whether to continue treatment or not. And so I wanted to pray for her, and to pray for her comfort, and to pray for her decision-making over the next few weeks as she learns more about her conditions from her doctors. I'd also like to pray for Michael Longmire, Bonnie's husband, who had 2 urology procedures in the last couple of weeks, the second of which was this past Monday, and he's recovering at home. And Ken Finkelstein, who had the kidney transplant about 10 days ago, and he's at his son's house in Peoria recovering. And Susie Schlein, Shoshana Leah Bat Sprinza, who's recovering from pneumonia, and Chef Boyardee, Barry Maltash, who is going to be going in for knee replacement surgery, hip replacement surgery on his left hip, and we'll make sure to mark a X on the right hip this coming week. And so we pray that the surgery may be successful. I understand that they don't want you around. They're sending you home that very day. And so we're hoping that the doctors will prescribe lots of ice cream. We also pray for all of those in Ukraine who are suffering both physically and emotionally from the onslaught, and we hope and pray that that ends very soon. And all of those in our congregation tonight here in person and on streaming, and our entire temple community and the entire West Valley, everybody who is suffering and in need of any sort of refuah shlema, refuah nefesh, or refuah guf. And so we pray for everyone in need of any sort of emotional support at this time. We join together, page 371, Misha Berach.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pray for all of those in need of healing, and let us say, we now come to the Megillah reading. The blessings for the Megillah reading can be found in your prayer books on page 573. I'd like to ask you to briefly rise, so we'll take out the Megillah. This is not a Torah, but it is a handwritten scroll. Please be seated. We have two expert Persian interpreters who are going to come forward to help with the reading. That is, as I said, Chef Boyardee and Queen Vashti. And they're going to focus on the first chapter. I do want to show you this scroll. We don't know, Lee Shadroff is our resident historian, and he doesn't know where this scroll came from. But just to show it to you a little bit, this is obviously handwritten, very old, and it is made under similar but not as stringent laws as governing the creation of a Torah scroll. I'll just walk around, and you can also look at it after services more. Eva, would you like to write one of these? Yeah. Okay. They just sold one on auction that a 14-year-old Italian girl had written about 300 years ago, and they sold it for some huge amount of money. So if you could write it before you're 14, you have to make the script like this, and if your parents could hold it for 200 or 300 years, that would be really good. I think so. one of the differences, you would be allowed to make pictures on this, but you have to be good pictures, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. But your right eye looks really good now.
What's wrong with my right eye?
Well, it was you had an eye patch. Oh my! I don't think she's a real pirate.
I am a pirate.
And here you can see the scroll. You also can draw this by age. How old are you?
11.
All right, you have 3 years. And you can make pictures. You can see it's a little damaged over there in the right bottom corner. I don't know from what. And and you can see where the different parts of the scroll are connected. And if you, from the back, parts of it look darker than others. I don't know exactly what the significance of that might be. And here, Geraldine, I'll come over here.
Thank you.
Yep, it's sewn together, the different parts. And so now I'd like to call up our two readers who are going to read from the first chapter in a little bit of Hebrew and English. Queen Vashti has been a little rusty on the Hebrew since she was expelled from the court, but she's going to do her best. The translation, the English and the Hebrew was given out at the beginning of the service, and if you don't have it, I have an extra one here.
Don't take that.
I'd like to ask the cantor to recite the blessings now on page 573.
Baruch atah
Can we get a photo of the three of us?
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem bazaman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'echianu v'giyamanu v'giyanu bazaman hazeh.
Vayehi b'mei Achashverosh hu Achashverosh hamelech mehudo al kushava athrim umah e medina.
It happened in the days of Achashverosh that Achashverosh, who reigned over 127 provinces from India to Nubia, in those days when King Achashverosh occupied the royal throne in the fortress city of Shushan, in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all the officials and courtiers, the administration of Persia and Media, and nobles and the governors from the provinces in his service. For no fewer than 180 days he displayed the vast riches of his kingdom and splendid glory of his majesty.
ובמילאות הימים האלה עשה המלך לכל העם הנמצאים בשושן הבירה למגדול אל הקטן משתה 7 ימים בחצר גלגל ביתן המלך.
At the end of this period, the king gave a banquet for 7 days in the court of the king's palace garden for all the people who lived in the fortress Shushan, high and low alike. There were hangings of white cotton and blue wool, caught up by cords of fine linen and purple wool, to silver rods and alabaster columns, and there were couches of gold and silver on a pavement of marble, alabaster, mother of pearl, and mosaics. Royal wine was served in abundance, as befits a king, in golden beakers, beakers of various design. And the rule for the drinking was no restrictions, for the king had given orders to every palace steward to comply with each man's wishes.
גם ושתי המלכה עשתה שיטת נשאים בית המלכות אשר למלך ואחשוורוש.
In addition, Queen Vashti gave a banquet for women in the royal palace of King Ahasuerus. On the seventh day, when the king was merry with wine, he ordered, a lot of names coming up, and I apologize, Memuman, Bezethia, Habona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zathar, and Carcas, the 7 eunuchs in attendance on King Ahasuerus, to bring Queen Vashti before the king, wearing a golden denim, to display her beauty to the peoples and the officials, for she was a beautiful woman.
ותימאן המלכה ושתי לבוא בדבר המלך אשר ביד הסרסים ויקוצף המלך מאוד והמתו באמבו.
But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command, conveyed by the eunuchs. The king was greatly incensed, and his fury burned within him.
ויאמר המלך לחכמים, יודע העתים, כי כן דבר המלך לפני כל יודע דת ודין.
Then the king consulted sages learned in the procedures, for it was a royal practice to turn to all who were versed in law and precedent. His closest advisors were Karshena, Zethar, Ametha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, and Memnucan, the 7 ministers of Persia and Media, who had access to the royal presence and occupied the first palace in the kingdom.
כדע מה לעשות במלכה ושתי, על אשר לא עשתה אימה אמר המלך אחשוורוש ביד הסרסים.
What, he asked, shall be done according to the law to Queen Vashti for failing to obey the command of the king Ahasuerus conveyed by the eunuchs? Thereupon, Memucan declared in the presence of the king and the ministers, Queen Vashti has committed an offense not only against your majesty, but also against all the officials and against all the peoples in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For the queen's behavior will make all wives despise their husbands as they reflect that King Ahasuerus himself ordered Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come.
והיום הזה תמונה תומרנה שרות פרס ומדי אשר שמעו את דבר המלאכה לכל שערי המלך ועובדי בזיון וקצף.
This very day, the ladies of Persia and Media, who have heard of the queen's behavior, will cite it to all your majesty's officials, and there will be no end of scorn and provocation. If it pleases your majesty, let a royal edict be issued by you, and let it be written into the laws of Persia and Media, so that it cannot be abrogated, that Vashti shall never enter the presence of King Ahasuerus, and let your majesty bestow her royal state upon another who is more worthy than she is. Then will the judgment executed by your majesty resound throughout your realm, vast though it is, and all the wives will treat their husbands with respect, high and low alike. The proposal was approved by the king and the ministers, and the king did as Memucan proposed.
וישלח ספרים על כל מדינת המלך על מדיני ומדינה ככתב ואל עם ועם כלשונו לחיות כל איש שרד בביתו ומדבר כלשון עמו.
Dispatches were sent to all the provinces of the king, to every province in its own script and every nation in its own language, that every man should wield authority in his own home and speak the language of his own people. I'm sure that went over good with the women's livers.
Now, Vashti, if you were doing anything over again, would you have done anything differently?
Of course not.
And that's, I mean, you're dealing with a very irrational person.
Hey, this is a women's libs time. We stand up for ourselves and we don't have to listen to our husbands.
And that's...
So let it be written, so let it be done.
Poor Barry, huh? But today it's obvious, right,
Yes.
that women should be respected, treated as equal. There's no,
We're
no.
higher. We're higher.
But in those days,
It
you were
wasn't.
at the mercy of this drunken king.
Right.
Now, Ahasuerus wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but he was ignorant and
He was a silly king.
yeah, silly and stupid and now you didn't mention in chapter 1 there was no mention of you know who.
Correct.
And so who am I thinking of? I can't hear you. Who are you thinking of? Now, if you were still queen, would you have put Haman in his place?
Of course.
Okay, there you have it. I'm going to leave the scroll out so that anyone who'd like to look at it immediately following services can do so. We're going to now move to the Aleinu, so please rise, page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon l'kol, l'tekedu l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu ki goyei ha'aratzot, velo zamanu ki mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam elkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushamo echad, and on that day, Adonai shall be one, and on that day, God's name shall be one.
Please remain standing as we prepare for the mourner's Kaddish. On page 598. We remember the recent deaths of Claire Abrams, our Rebbitzin Emeritus, of Ilva Bergman, the mother of Pan Katz, and of Linda Hochman, the former member of TBS, who was instrumental in helping to nurture the Biblical Garden. We remember the yard sites of Michael Shedroff, who is a cousin of Lee and Sandy, Sylvia Blick, the aunt of Babette Spatz, Gloria Cohen Davis, the sister of Abraham Cohen, Shirley Feynman, the sister of Rhoda Edwards, Minnie Fisher, the mother of Helene Fox, Frances Gadlis, the mother of Louis Gadlis, Bernard Gluck, the father of David Gluck, Marilyn G. Savransky, the aunt of Rosalind Goldstein, Millie Shapiro, the aunt of Diane Shapiro, Marvin Weinstein, the father of Natalie Weinstein, Sybil Weinstein, the mother of Natalie, and Janice Arlen Wynn, the sister of Bonnie Longmire. We also remember all of our legacy members who have passed away at this time in years past and whose lights are lit on the yard site board. And we want to thank Bernie Brownstein for the Hamantash and following services in memory of Shirley Gottstein. Is there anyone else who has a yard site or a recent death that you'd like to include? We join together in the mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah v'yalma dibra kruteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chaye echad u'b'yom echad u'b'chaye dekol Beit Yisrael ba'gala u'b'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam u'lamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalel v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu le'ila min kol berchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata d'amiram b'alma v'imru. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and all humanity, to which we say Amen. Please be seated for announcements. Your turn.
I will make this brief, but I forgot to introduce our guests when I did the welcome, and I want to do that before we leave. Lee Segerson, raise your hand. Hi, Lee. Brennan Polikoff? No? What's the first name?
Bray.
Oh, hi, Bray. Okay. Mark and Susan Finkelstein. Welcome. And Jane Smith. Hi, Jane. Welcome to our visitors. Very quickly, there are flyers out in the back for all of these, but just a reminder that the Sisterhood Women's Seder will be Monday, April 11th at noon. It's $18. Our Temple Passover Seder will be April 15th. We're going to combine Friday night Shabbat with the Seder, and there's a flyer on that out front. April 8th, after services, will be our annual wonderful concert that the Cantor provides for us once a year with some very, very special music after service. And on April 10th, this is a new announcement. We're going to have blessings of our pets, the living pets, at noon and 1 p.m., dogs at noon, everybody else at 1 o'clock. And all the information is there that you need. And Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. My dog Skinny and Lily are very excited about the pet blessing. So we are segregating the dogs from the cats. So please note the different times of arrival and departure, but we want to bless all of our pets that we love so much. We're going to now conclude the service with the benediction, and then Tfilat Derech and the Kiddush, and then that'll conclude the service for those on streaming, and then we'll go back and do a Hamotzi in front of the Hamantashen. There's Bernie got a huge amount of apricot Hamantashen, which I happen to love. It's my favorite. So I hope you like apricot or apricot, whatever the case may be. Please rise now for the final benediction. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace, happiness, and love. And let us say, Amen.
May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. May we be sheltered by the wings of peace. May we be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way to every soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavav.